But I wanted to start with a question that the football internet has been asking really for the last year or so. And I sometimes get worried that we can get a little bit too myopic with the way that we think about this as football media and certain spheres of the football media. So when we met earlier this week and talked about what we were going to discuss today, this is the first thing that I brought up to you. Because last Thursday was the latest entry into the conversation about what Brock Purdy really is.
Yeah.
This team is second in the NFL in EPA per dropback so far this season, the Niners are. When he was on the field last year after the Christian McCaffrey trade as well, this was arguably the best offense in football. Last week against the Giants, another great stat line, 25 of 37, 310, 2 touchdowns. But obviously, and that's why we're doing this, that doesn't tell the whole story. 67% of those yards came after the catch. Only 54% of his throws traveled 5 yards in the air. Worth noting that he was blitzed at a historic rate.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to dig into here and a lot to untangle here. So I wanted to have a real conversation with someone who's played the position about what Brock Purdy's production means within this offense.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot. There's a lot of different layers to it. Thanks for that long-winded intro to what I'm about to talk about. But so the stats you said, 67% of those yards came after the catch, and 54% of his throws travel less than 5 yards in the air. Okay, that's a Shanahan offense. Just bottom line, like week in, week out, that is like sort of like there was a 3rd and 13 and 3rd and 15 screen that they converted. Like that's the type of thing that Shanahan does, not only with his play calling, his play design, when he calls certain plays, but he has a knack for that. Okay, so that is the offense. But I would say this is almost an argument that I have heard said versus something I really hate. Is it the quarterback or is it the system? Is it the quarterback who's making the plays and the tough throws, or is it the system that's making the player better than he would be without the system? And in a rare occurrence, it's both. It's both for me with Brock Purdy, because I think Brock Purdy, like when I watch him, I watch like a guy who knows exactly what he's doing on every single play. He has an answer in his toolbox for every single coverage. You know, the first drive wasn't great. He put the ball in harm's way a few times, and then he settled in because it was probably not – they probably weren't expecting him to pressure that much, the Giants, but they did. And they made some sideline adjustments, and you saw like the third drive, I think, on through halftime, the 2-minute drill, and then the second half. I thought he played just so well. And it was within the offense. It wasn't like he was out there being Superman. Now, made some Superman throws. The throw going back to Kittle on the sideline where he dropped it over the guy, like falling back. Like that to me was outstanding. That's the quarterback 100%. The touchdown throw in cover 0 where he's drifting back, lofts up a corner route to the end zone. I mean, perfect. Like footwork, perfect timing. You tell they'd been working on it, and it was an impressive performance, but it's always like a little bit of a mystery, right? Like because I used to hate when that would get brought up. Like when I was at Mizzou, we had an amazing system, but I'm like, dude, I'm still the one pulling the trigger. You know what I'm saying? Like don't doubt me. And that was my biggest doubters coming out of college, was the NFL like scouts and head coaches like, well, he's really good, puts up a lot of numbers in college, but can he throw a 20-yard out route to the field on an NFL hash? Like all that stuff. And so I used to get really pissed off because I'd be like, the thing is, you want a quarterback to be able to run your system how you see fit. So this is the perfect example of like the two meshing together.
Obviously, not everyone could do this. We've seen quarterbacks, lesser quarterbacks in this offense, and the stats aren't the same. Jimmy Garoppolo put up fantastic numbers in this offense, very similar to the ones that Brock Purdy are putting up. But when you go a step lower than that, and we've seen the Nick Mullenses of the world and CJ Beathard play in this offense, and while they're elevated, it still doesn't look like this. So that obviously that argument is a non-starter. Not everyone can do this. But I also think that he's not being asked to do so many things that a huge portion of starting level quarterbacks in the NFL could not do well. So my question to you is, where does he elevate what they are trying to do on offense? And does he, in your opinion, elevate what they're trying to do on offense?
I think for the first time in 3 shows, I think you're wrong on that because of what I know and the coaches I've been around that is in that system. And I just think that he absolutely, like, you got to be one smart cat in that offense, man, because there's 3 plays at times called in the huddle and their run game checks, their run game mic IDs, all that stuff's being put on him as a 7th round rookie last year. Now he's been able to grow into it. Obviously missed some time with his elbow and stuff. And now, but I just think he's finally showing and finally taking ownership within the offense. And I think that's exactly what Kyle Shanahan wants in his quarterback. And I do think, like, the Nick Mullins, like, there was some stat, I think I saw it again, like he threw for like the most yards in like a 10-game span in NFL hit or something. He's like over 350 yards a game or something. And that brings me back to, like, okay, well, but also I don't know if he's as smart and as well fit for the offense as Brock Purdy. Because when I watch Brock Purdy, and a lot of people watching the film will miss it and not see it, but just on every, like, first of all, they're the closest looking offense to Miami for obvious reasons, than anyone, because of the shifts and the motions and the motion landmarks and the snap points, like all that stuff. Like, people don't realize it's not just like, hey, you're just dropping back and throwing the ball to Deebo Samuel. Like, it is very, very mentally taxing. And their play call sheet is long as all get out. Like, one of the longer play call sheets in the league, the San Francisco 49ers. So I think all of that, to me, makes me think, like, this is a very good fit and also a very good feel for how he is expected to play. And he played that way as a rookie, and you're starting to see it game 3 already. Like, that wasn't a fluke.
It's the right mix of different traits and different aspects to make this offense hum, right? And there was a play in the first half where Deebo turns a 25-yard completion into a 40-yard completion because he makes 3 guys miss in space. Yeah. He's open by 10 yards on the end breaker there. It's not a difficult throw. Like, those are the throws those are available to you within the offense. But you look at some of the other throws. You mentioned the corner route to Kittle. He had a couple others, the touchdown. He had a really nice throw in breaker to Juwan Jennings in the first half, where there's like a really good anticipation as he's throwing that ball. But those are, the structure of the offense stuff is there. But in this game, you didn't see it as much. But in other games, what he's really brought that other quarterbacks haven't is that there's also some out of structure stuff. He's a little bit more aggressive. He's willing to extend plays. So overall, whatever the recipe is, no matter how you want to try to extricate it and divvy up credit within this entire system, it works. And I think that's the most important thing, is that he is running the offense available to him and making the 3, 4, 5 plays that quarterback X, replaceable quarterback X, might not be able to make in the same circumstances. And for this team in this moment, that's more than enough.
Well, and I was just so impressed, honestly, just because I hadn't watched a lot of them actual film on the iPad, like actually studying. I've watched a lot of just like game film where I've seen he's just balling, and I haven't really dove in. And I watched the whole game, and I was just, I mean, it's impressive when a guy like that played quarterback in the league can go up to you and watch your tape and just understand like the nuances of the position. And like, the first thing I wrote right here was like, he's so smooth. Like, he's never in a hurry. He's just seems like he has everything under control. Everyone knows that he has like a bunch, like a little bit of swagger. Everyone that we talked to, like, you got to have that. So the guys love him. But he's also like a servant leader. Like, he's like leading by example. He's wanting to make the team better. Like, he's doing all the right things. It just seems like they got this pick like so right. And it's still early on in his career, but just everything, and especially like that they're going through in the offense and just what they put on him, like, it just seems like the perfect marriage, which is cool. I mean, I hope he stays healthy, and I hope he is the quarterback for the next 10 years there, because he's fun to watch, honestly.
So I wanted to ask you, where are some moments where maybe he keeps his cool, he keeps his composure that other quarterbacks might not be wired to do the same? Like, what are some areas where maybe he has a little bit more poise, just comfort, than other quarterbacks might?
Well, the first thing I wrote down, I have like 15 notes on them because I couldn't stop writing. I couldn't stop writing about it because I'm like, this is impressive. The first one I had was stands in the pocket. Like the dude is just like standing in there, will take a hit. Like if protection breaks down, you never see him flustered on the sideline. You never see him palms up, is like what you used to call it in the quarterback room. We used to find people in New Orleans like, you give me a palms up on the field, bro. Like as a quarterback, you're getting fined, bro. Like you're getting fined in our room. He's never done that. Like he's just so calm, cool, and collected. So I think it's just an overall feeling. Like to me, the biggest deal as an NFL quarterback, especially a young guy, because Brock is still very young, is can you stand in the pocket and deliver it, take a hit, get back up, and do it over and over and over, and not one of these like chuck and ducks is like what we used to call it. Like you're throwing the ball, you're like, I don't want to get hit, because I've been in that situation before because like these dudes are huge, but like there's just no panic in his eyes or his body language or anything. That to me is what stands out.
What specifically in your mind makes the offense so quarterback friendly? Like this version of it? Because obviously we know what the Shanahan offense is. It's been around for 30 years. There have been so many different iterations of it. But when you watch this current version of the Niners offense, what do you think allows quarterbacks to function so well within it?
Well, you got to, I mean, I said it before, like you have to be smart, because for you to be smart, that allows the coaching staff and Kyle Shanahan to give you multiple options on multiple different plays. So you're not stuck in a bad play. That to me is like the number one thing about being such a quarterback friendly offense is like, hey, if it's too high, we're running the ball. If it's single high, we're throwing it. If it's man, you got a chance to check to a man beater, like every single snap. So that to me, like that's all I can talk about, right? Is like my experience. That is what I wanted. I wanted to never ever go up to the line, put your hands under center and think, oh man, this ain't gonna work. Like this is not a good play. like just a bad feeling. Even if it's a run, you're like, God, it's like almost like you're wasting plays, if that makes sense.
Sure.
And I just don't see, like I don't see that. I don't see that in this offense. And so that's what's cool about as a quarterback and from the whole team, like, hey, we're going to put you in positions to make plays, but you better be smart. You better know how to run the offense. And I mean, just how John Lynch has built that offense from the offensive line to the receivers, to the running backs. I mean, that's a quarterback's like best friend. Like you get separation, Ayuk, Debo, Kittle, CMC, like I just keep going. It just is like all these weapons built around it. That also makes it a quarterback friendly offense. You're like, hey, I can just throw a screen to CMC on third and 13 in the red zone. He's going to go get a first down. Like I don't got to drop back and, hold the ball and move around in the pocket, try to find a completion like that. To me, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just throw it out there and let him go do the work. And he's doing such a great job at that. Honestly, it's impressive.